My interdisciplinary research brings together cinema history, film theory, and critical animal studies to examine horses, not only as screen figures, but also as inherently cinematic beasts. My project begins with an origin story, the so-called birth of cinema as a mass medium in the late 19th century. Scholars situate the medium as a modern technology with the capacity to reframe our experience of time and space. A key moment in film history is the widely discussed shocked response of early cinema audiences to the Lumière brothers' film Arrival of a Train in the Station. This train effect, according to scholar Tom Gunning, is an impulse to rear back before the image. Interesting choice of terms. Yet early filmmaker Georges Méliès describes audiences behaving the very same way in responses to horses on screen. Before this spectacle, he wrote, we sat with gaping mouths, struck with amazement. So although Lynn Kirby calls the train, also known as the Iron Horse, the cinema's mechanical double, I propose that we return to another origin story in the wager made between California governor, Stanford University founder, president of the Southern Pacific Railroad, and horse breeder, Leland Stanford, and the photographer Edward Muybridge. They sought to answer the question, does a horse lift up all four hooves when galloping? And Muybridge set up a bank of cameras that were still cameras whose shutters were triggered by the passing of a galloping mare named Sally Gardner, ridden by an African-American jockey called Dom, whose full name is lost to history. These serial photographs published in Scientific American were projected in sequence using a mechanical apparatus, giving birth to motion pictures. Thus, before the Lumiere's train, there was Muybridge's horse. I consider the horse a double for the cinema, an organic, embodied, living double, not a machine. I argue there is a relationship between horses and cinema that is not arbitrary, that is, there is a marriage of animal and medium, just as there is between cats and the internet, as we all know. Horses are inherently cinematic in their physical attributes, their horizontal motion, their size and proportions, and the emotional capacities we associate with them, the ability to empathize with and transport humans to other worlds, from the myths of Pegasus and Tir na Nog to My Little Pony. Humans have watched and represented horses for millennia. In the 2010 film Cave of Forgotten Dreams, Werner Herzog suggests that cave paintings, such as Peche Merle, he's looking at a different cave, may be the earliest forms of cinema, as these horses are three-dimensionally rendered and appear to move if a light source is waved in front of them. Watching horses was the earliest cinematic experience for humans. We still see this in the horizontality of the films such as Mary Poppins, the fantasy Derby sequence made in 1964. This was state-of-the-art in its day for combining live action and animation. In addition to the horizontality of motion, the proportions of the horse, and admittedly, there are variations, prefigure the earliest aspect ratio for this mass medium of cinema. It was called the Academy ratio, 1.33 to 1. That defined the shape of the screen onto which early film images were projected. So my argument here is that the horse actually has that proportion and that shape prefiguring the cinema. Humans who ride horses sense the way that horses perceive their emotions, and research at Sussex University has found that horses can indeed read the emotions of other species. This capacity aligns with cinema spectatorship in that identifying with screen characters moves viewers beyond their personal experiences into fictional worlds. Lotte Reiniger was an early film animator whose silhouette, style, and method is instantly recognizable. Her film, Prince Achmed, shows a man riding a horse into the heavens, echoing so many equine figures that transport humans to other imaginative worlds. Many cultures and national cultures lay claim to having a special relationship with the horse. Indeed, Irish culture does that as well. And I had initially imagined this project as an Irish national cinema project. From the Book of Kells to Jonathan Swift's Houyhnhnms, which also has made a great contribution to visual culture. This is the second most frequent image you see from Gulliver. Gulliver giving his obeisance to the horse. The first is the Lilliputians having tied him up. The new Irish nation's visual culture also recognized the horse when it struck coins celebrating its agricultural heritage and avoiding contemporary politics by showing animals rather than humans, with iconic Irish animals, the salmon, the sow, the hen, the bull, the wolfhound, and the horse. The first film made in our own county, Kildare, was of King Edward's Irish horse, Ambush 2, which was training at the Curragh. The horse had won the Grand National in 1900. Alas, it did not win it again. So from 1902 to 100 years later in Lenny Abrahamson's film Garage, where a horse stands in for a human character at the end of the film, not coincidentally on a railroad track, the horse emerges as far more than an aesthetically pleasing animal. Horses are organic embodiments of cinema that predate the technology of moving images. Thank you.